All right, y'all, we're taking a look at this boudoir photography business today. Gonna see if it's local/city search, which today has been combined, has BSS, yes or no. So we're back here in the GBC universe where we're taking declining boudoir photographers to the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. As always, our North Star is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. And more on this, pinned video, home video, somewhere around here. And that's because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So we got our FSIC graph in white here. Highest intent people on the left. These are the peeps searching literally today for boudoir photo shoot in their city. We focus on those peeps here with our BSS videos about BSS because these are highest intent, easiest to convert, closest to the money people. Over on the right, our lowest intent people. We talk about those with our sister brand of Boudoir FB Ad Doctor, where we talk about BLCS. And currently over there, we only work with boudoir photographers running more than 10 grand per month in boudoir Facebook ads. Now, BSS means boudoir search sameness. That means a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 on Google. 0 slots on page 1 on Google means obviously, they're on page 2 or deeper, somewhere deeper. And we care about this because we know approximately 80% of Google searches never ever even hit page 2. They're page 1 and done searches, that's it. Which means if we're on page 2, we're invisible to approximately 80% of the market. And 1 slot on page 1 on Google, that ain't good either because, there's 10 organic slots page 1 on Google. If 9 other boudoir photographers each have 1 slot, everyone's looking the same, everyone's got 1 slot. We're not saying that, we're basically invisible, and guess what? A boudoir photographer is, or a boudoir buyer, their behavior is going to be just clicking through everyone on page 1. Well, approximately 80% of the boudoir buyers, they're only going to be clicking through everyone on page 1. They'll never go to page 2. And they'll be comparing everyone on page 1. And as a result, they will, filling out everyone's contact form, getting price quotes, negotiating, pulling down the price, asking for more. It's kind of annoying to deal with, to run a business that way. And most of them won't even go with us. So it's like, man, what's even the point? Now, 0 1 slots on page 1 of Google is actually not normal. It is a symptom of 2 deeper root causes. And those 2 deeper root causes are market saturation and the false belief of page 1 equality. So market saturation, the number one thing there is, well, basically everyone knows this. This is more boudoir photographers entering the market over time. Just simply as people upgrade their gear, kind of like get a new iPhone, get a new camera. This just naturally happens. Then eventually they throw up their Google My Business profile saying they're a boudoir photographer. And they've got their website ranking on page 1 on Google they're competing to, saying they shoot boudoir photography. They are also increasingly posting in the mom groups on Facebook that that they now offer boudoir photo shoots. And a big market saturation time with COVID, tons of people lost their jobs, so they're in money. Everyone's got a super powered smartphone with awesome camera. Tons of people became boudoir photographers in that time. Now, the false belief of page 1 equality, this is the new one that very few people know about. So what this is actually a lot of boudoir photographers have kind of assumed or accepted that every boudoir photographer gets either 0 or 1 slots page 1 on Google. And it's kind of like, yeah, whether Google wants to give you that slot, yes or no. And maybe you're on, who knows, slot 7, page 1, slot 7. Then some market saturation happened. Now you're on page 2, slot 2. And a lot of boudoir photographers are like, oh, well, I hope those new peeps, delete their website and Google de-indexes them. So maybe Google will bring me back up onto page 1. But no, this is 100% incorrect. This is the wrong way to think about it, because what we have learned and we have the data to show is Google will actually give us as many page 1 slots on Google as we want, and we actually do put in the effort to acquire. And I know this because I went from 0 out of 10 slots page 1 on Google to 9 out of 10 slots page 1 on Google in only 10 days with this new methodology we discovered. So that's how we know the false belief of page 1 equality is exactly that, a false belief. Now, boudoir photographer with BSS, boudoir search sameness, is a disappearing boudoir photographer, a DBP. Again, if we got 0 slots page 1 Google search, that means we're page 2 or deeper, we're invisible to approximately 80% of the marketplace. If we got 1 slot page 1 on Google, we're looking the same as the other 9 competitors that are on there for a total of 10 slots. We're still invisible, we're still disappearing, we're slowly dying. So both these scenarios, it's kind of the canary in the coal mine, kind of the warning light, the red flag. that's telling us our boudoir photography business itself is now on its way to disappearing. But thankfully, we now have a solution. We've discovered that BSS is actually treated with social search saturation, aka our S-cubed methodology. And we know this because we invented it. That's how we went from 0 out of 10 slots, page 1 on Google, to 9 out of 10 slots, page 1 on Google in only 10 days. We'll see that data here, I don't know, like 4 or 5 more pictures. Now, S-cubed methodology, the way it works, it's exactly in the name. We saturate social search with the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords, so we show up there for those. And this is kind of like, when we do this, it's kind of like the snow at the top of the Andes Mountains down in South America on the eastern side, the backside. Snow back there. What eventually happens is that snow melts, small streams, small rivers, and guess what? It all flows into the Amazon River. That Amazon River is Google page 1. But to get all that water there, first got to be snow at the top of the mountains. So saturating social search, that's our snow. That's where everything begins. That's the input we care about, our S-cubed methodology. Everything flows from successfully executing S-cubed methodology correctly. And the interesting thing about this is the only solution I've seen for boudoir photographers that actually enables them, that gives them a chance for their business to continue to grow, even in the face of market saturation, and even if they don't have a large, well-known brand, and to do all this give them this opportunity in a relatively quick time frame. The only other shot would obviously to have a large, well-known brand to compete against market saturation. But dude, that takes 5 to 10 years. We ain't got that time. We got AI taking people's jobs. We don't have time. We don't have 5 to 10 years to build a large, well-known brand. What's actually interesting is utilizing S-cubed methodology. My estimates is it will actually speed up the process of creating a large, well-known brand in an area by approximately 8x, because it'll be seen with such a much higher frequency across so many more platforms. That's my estimates. It's kind of like a secondary benefit of utilizing this technology. So now an example. All right, so right now we're going to Phoenix, and there are currently 1 million boudoir photographers in Phoenix. We are one of them. Since we don't have a large, well-known brand, then the only way we can, everyone's got their websites and their boudoir photographer competing page 1 in Google search. So since nobody's got any of those since there's so many competitors, we realize, all right, we got to use S-cubed methodology to get out of this mess. Let's say we crank it up to the max. Let's say we're ranked for the first 300 slots across all of social search for the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords. And let's say that flows out onto Google. And we're taking up the first 300 organic slots on Google. And we know it's 10 organic slots per page on Google. And so as a result, taking up literally the first 30 pages, and we are basically, for any boudoir buyer to find any of our competitors, they got to scroll down to slot 301. And on Google, that's page 31. I mean, who's doing that? Basically no one. So when any boudoir buyer is actually searching for, any boudoir photo shoot in our city or any high intent boudoir buyer keyword in our city, we're basically the only ones showing up. And as a result, we, whose business is growing? Most likely ours. Whose business is dying, fading, disappearing? Most likely the other 999,999 boudoir photographers that buyers really can't even find them because we're saturating all the surfaces where they could be found. So this is kind of a ultra extreme example of what S-cubed methodology can enable for a boudoir photography business. Now, once you're with S-cubed methodology, we have page 1 visibility, P1V. Yeah, we get our initial benefit, more slots page 1 on Google. Got our second initial benefit of every new slot we get page 1 on Google. We actually get, we're actually kicking our competing boudoir photographers in our city off that page, and we effectively make them invisible because now they're on page 2 or deeper, and we already know approximately 80% of Google searches are page 1 only searches. So we can basically choose to make our competitors disappear and put their business on the path of disappearing with depending on how much effort we want to put into acquiring all these slots. Now, page one visibility activates Boudoir search visibility for us, BSV. So this is where the GBC universe has a recommended minimum of having minimum of 3 out of 10 slots page one Google search. That's because all the other boudoir photographers will basically have 1 slot, so we're going to be dominating them for buyers scrolling page 1. And on the ultra rare case, someone has 2 slots, we're going to be dominating them as well because we have 3. We also know that boudoir photographer with BSV is a visible boudoir photographer VBP. So we got our full basically our full kind of got our full micro universe here. We got a disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness caused by the dual horns of market saturation and page one equality, the false belief page one equality. We can now solve it with S-cubed methodology. We achieve page one visibility. We become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. Just kind of our micro universe here. And now we're gonna look at my results. So the results that I got, purely using S-cubed methodology. So I want to dominate rank for this keyword, BLCS boudoir. I want to dominate page one Google search. And let's see the results I got with it. So we're getting slot 1, Instagram, me. Slot 2, me. Slot 3, me. Slot 4, me. Slot 5, me. Slot 6, me. Slot 7, me. Slot 8, me. And slot 10, me. So the best thing about this is from 0 to 10 slots page 1 Google search to 9 out of 10 slots page 1 Google search in only 10 days, purely utilizing S-cubed methodology. Now we're back to the back to the main event. Gonna see if we got BSS for this local / city combined search here. Going to Martinsburg, West Virginia. All right, let's check it out. So yeah, I couldn't find any other big cities close by, so we're combining both these. So we got 1. We got 2. Let's see. All right, so we got 2 out of 10. So we do not have BSS, but we did not hit the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots page 1 on Google, but at least we do not have BSS boudoir search sameness. So if you're a disappearing boudoir photographer, you've done your local search, you've done your city search, either have BSS for one of those or you're not meeting the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 for one of those. And you realize this means you're starting to disappear. A disappearing boudoir photographer, this is the first kind of flag, the first kind of warning light. If we start becoming disappearing here, eventually the business becomes disappearing as well. And you're seeing S-cubed methodology like, yes, this is exactly what I need. This is what you've been wanting to use or wanting to have as a solution for a while. And you've already broken out the false belief of page one equality. And you understand market saturation, yeah, people get new gear, okay. And you're loving the initial awesome benefits, S-cubed methodology, more links page one Google, kicking more competitors off page one on Google, kind of making them become disappearing boudoir photographers. And you're looking ahead and you're seeing, since you understand market saturation, you're actually seeing that AI is going to be taking a ton of people's jobs more and more over time. So it's literally going to be kind of bringing in a larger and larger amount of boudoir photographers over time. So you're realizing you got to fortify your position on page one on Google, not just get it right now, but actually kind of build up even excess links in the back end in reserve. That so many links out there that actually prevents any future competing boudoir photographers from getting on page one either. And you're saying, okay, S-cubed methodology is also the only thing you see that can accomplish that. So it's kind of a near-term extra benefit. And you want to achieve boudoir search page one visibility, such you become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility because you know you need those things in order to become the #1 boudoir photographer in your city. And you also understand the future back-end benefits of becoming the #1 or of utilizing S-Cube methodology. Is basically the first one is you're building up these invisible thematic keyword columns, kind of like plugged into your brand, plugged into your business name, your website, your social media handles, or kind of like spokes, hub and spoke, plugging these different spoke columns into your brand that actually bring, that actually eat up mind share in the back end Google AI kind of like mind brain. And so, that every day we successfully execute S-Cube methodology, higher chance you'll be getting recommended here AI overview because you're basically bundling up kind of these building up repetition, authority, relevance, frequency, age of these invisible thematic keyword columns that takes up AI mindshare, which also increases the probability recommended AI search, ChatGPT growing AI search growing every single day. ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini. Google search is still, approximately 90% of global search, but AI search is literally growing every day. It's what I use most frequently. It's basically just give me the summary. I don't want to click through it after reading and figure these things out myself. And I know last time I did search for boudoir photographers in a city that I got 3, and then I went searching myself on Google, and there's like approximately 60 in that city. So I'm like, okay, we definitely got to be building momentum here, increase the probability recommended in these 3 slots. And you're seeing, okay, S-Cube methodology is the only thing that will build these invisible thematic keyword columns for you to achieve this increase in probability of AI search being recommended for AI search. And you're also understanding that, my current plan is to only work with 1 boudoir photographer per city. So you decide, hey, you're going to jump on this first, get all these initial benefits, box out your competitors so they can't use me, build up this kind of invisible momentum gap with your competitors to where, we can get it to where essentially they can never, ever catch up to us. And, the converse, if your competitor were to work with me first, that you'd actually have to go rederive or derive S-Cube methodology for yourself. And then you'd have to go execute it. But you would never be 100% confident putting in the time to execute it because you would not know if you've even derived it correctly in the first place. And, when you'd have to equal our execution every day with me and your competitor, and you'd have to, that's simply to maintain the gap. To actually make up progress, you'd have to double or triple our output every single day using the system I invented. And to close that gap, be able to basically pull that AI mindshare back from me and your competitor, kind of those invisible thematic keyword columns. And who's got 80 hours in a day to do that? So you're like, screw that. You've decided you're going to be first mover of your city to actually get all this stuff done. And so if that's you, shoot me a DM. My DMs are currently closed. The hospital is currently closed, not taking any new patients. But when my DMs do open, shoot me a DM and we'll see if you qualify for utilizing our S-Cubed methodology.